Chulin Daf and then Daled. We're starting around 15 lines from the top. Says the Gemara, Limala ad kama. On top, meaning at the top of the esophagus, how far up can I go to shecht? Rav said that by the turbatz aveshet, in the place where the esophagus connects to the jaw, you cannot slaughter. So how far down do I have to go? Rav Nachman says ad kedei tfisas yad. You have to go down a hand's breadth. The amount of place in the esophagus where you can grab onto, that's where you have to start. Meaning after, if you were to grab onto the top of the esophagus, after where your hand would be, that's where you can start the shechita. And Rashi says it's like 3 or 4 fingers. Continues the Gemara, limata ad kama. At the bottom of the veshet, at the bottom of the esophagus, towards the stomachs, how far down can you shecht? Amar of Nachman ad ad kedei shiyasir, until the place where it gets hairy. When it gets hairy already, it's too far down. Ini asks, don't we know in the name of Rav, tefach beveshet tzomach lekeres, a tefach, a hand's breadth of the veshet that is next to the keres, meaning the last tefach of the esophagus that is close to the stomach, zeo keres apnimi, that's already considered the inner stomach, so obviously that's not considered the esophagus. Says the Gemara, Amai, so how come Rabbi Bar Avua says that you can slaughter until where it gets hairy, but ki kashachit bekeres kashachit, when you're slaughtering in the stomach. If that last part is called the stomach, so then and there's no hair there, therefore according to Rabbi Avua you could slaughter there. So how could you slaughter if it's considered the stomach? So the Gemara, ema tefach bekeres samuch laveshet zeo keres apnimi. Says the Gemara, you should change it. It doesn't mean the tefach in the veshet, not the final tefach in the esophagus is called the keres apnimi. Rather the tefach in the keres, the first tefach in the keres that is samuch laveshet, zeo keres apnimi. That's, we're trying to define the keres apnimi, meaning we're trying to say that the keres apnimi is only the first tefach and not more, as opposed to trying to say that the last tefach of the veshet is the keres apnimi. Or we could just answer kikam Rav betur de maser tfei. Rav was talking about an ox. In an ox, there's more hair, so the hair goes up to a tefach, and therefore really the veshet ends a tefach before the keres, and that's already called keres. But that is consistent with what Rabbi Bar Avua said, because he's talking about an ox, and an ox really the hair does go up to a tefach, and therefore both opinions are consistent. Amar Nachman Amar Shmuel turbatz haveshet. If you have this turbatz haveshet, that's the place where the top of the esophagus, where the esophagus connects to the jaw. Shenital kulai milechi kasher. He says if the whole thing was removed from the jaw, then it's kasher. V'tanatu. Now we have a brisa that teaches this. Nital lechi atachton kasher. Also, if the bottom jaw was removed, it's kasher. So you see, if the whole thing was removed, it's fine. Asks the Gemara, Matzkath or Papa Va'ika Ikur Simanim. Isn't there a concept of Ikur Simanim which makes it possible b'shchita or a treifa? Ikur Simanim means if the Simanim, the trachea and esophagus, are uprooted and it becomes possible. And now you're telling me that even if the whole jaw was removed with the trachea and the esophagus, or the Tarbat Saveshet was removed, that's fine. What do you mean? Isn't that considered? Doesn't that constitute the psul of Ikur Simanim, that the Simanim are uprooted? Says the Gemara. Rav Papa kasha masisin. On Rav Papa himself, he has really a kasha, because the Mishnah said that nital lechi atachton, it's kasher. So says the Gemara, Shlomo masnisin. No, the Mishnah is fine. We can answer with the Mishnah. The Rav Papa le kasha. It's not a question. Hadi akuri akuri. The psul of ikur simanim is when the actual simanim were uprooted, and now just the simanim are dislocated. Behad the igum agume. The Mishnah that says that it's fine if the entire lechi atachnin was removed, that's talking about if you had meat, you had part of the basar of the animal also mixed into the what was uprooted. Meaning it's not the trachea and esophagus that were independently uprooted. No, it came together with a whole portion of the animal, so then it's still kosher. The only time it's possible is if the actual trachea and esophagus were uprooted on their own. The igumi me'ilu simanim, meaning you have some type of together on top of the simanim, you have some type of meat. Okay, Elo the Shmuel, but according to Shmuel, we have a kasha because he says that the turbot zaveshet shenital kulei is also fine. The turbot zaveshet is the veshet itself, right, and nothing more than the veshet. And if that was uprooted, it's a problem. So the Gemara loy tema kulei ela imaruba. So you say, you know what? Shmuel never said if the whole thing was removed. It's fine. Just say it's a majority. Says the Gemara, Shmuel didn't Shmuel say simanim shenidal beruben treifa? If you have the simanim that are hanging in majority, then it's treifa. Meaning, even if it's only majority, not fully so, it's treifa. So that's going to now be a machlekes. Now it's a contradiction in Shmuel, because you're telling me that when he says that when the turbot haveshet is hanging beruba, it's fine, and we have a different statement that says that no, it's not fine. That simanim shenidal beruba are treifa. Says the Gemara, Amarav Sheisha b'Rei Rav Idi had akpel ikpule hasam the ifruke. The difference is like this: when something that's ifrak ifruke, when it's totally dismantled, meaning it was uprooted, b'koyach, with strength, Rashi says, and now because you uprooted it with strength, so now it's missing. It's really most of it is uprooted, most of it is severed, most of it's disconnected, it's dislocated, and only in certain places it's hanging by a thread in certain places, right? So then over there, Shmuel says it's a problem. But in the case where he says that Turbot Zaveshet Shenital Rubai is kosher, that's when it wasn't pulled out and hanging by threads. It means that it was just mostly peeled away. Somehow it was neatly peeled away. So then it's not going to constitute a treifa, because we do have a substantive part of the veshet still connected strongly, even though it's not right. Continues the Gemara. Psukas hagargeres is one of the treifas in the Mishnah, was that if the windpipe is severed, Tana kama psukas hagargeres, how much does it have to be severed in order for it to be possible? Beruba has to be majority. Become a ruba, and what do you mean majority? Rav Amar roiv oivya means the entire thickness. The majority of the entire thickness. When the base and V'amrilan, some say no. He says roiv chalal, an entire space. So now what's going on over here is that these two opinions as to how we calculate the majority of a windpipe is, do we include the outer part of the windpipe when we calculate? I mean, do we include the wall of the windpipe when we calculate the majority? The windpipe at one point in the beginning is very thick wall, and on the other side it's a very thin wall. So if we count the outer wall, that means that when you hit a certain point, it's already considered severed. Most of the circumference is severed if you're counting the wall. But if you're not counting the wall, that means that you have to go further in, and only once you hit the majority of the empty space, when you hit the halfway point of the empty space, the inside of the kana, that's when it's considered a treifa. So that's the argument over here. There was a windpipe that was cut, that it came from a Rav Yosef Kabbalikle. He checked it, he checked it and calculated, including the thickness of the wall. Right, so he was machmer. Amrulei Rav Kana Rav Rav. The Matan Rabbeinu, you taught us Rav Chalala that you only have to check in the majority of the empty space, and only if at the midpoint of the inside empty space of the windpipe, only if it gets all the way till there, then it's possible. So Shajah the Kamei Rabbi Rachana. So they sent it to Rabbi Rachana, and Badka B'Roiv Chalala, and he checked in the majority. He checked it based on the majority of the empty space, not including the actual wall of the kana into the calculation. And he said it's kosher, meaning they had a case that the consequential difference between whether you include the thickness of the wall or just the space actually had an implication. In this case, it was exactly in between that, and if you include the wall, it would be possible, and if you don't include the wall, then it's kosher. So he said it's kosher. And not only that, v'zavan mino, he bought from the animal, he says it's kosher, and he bought from it with 13 simple coins. B'tleisar isteri pshiti. Isteri is a type of coin, and pshiti means that it's light. Rashi says, it was the basic coin of the place. So he bought 13 isteri worth of bisr, of basar. So the Gemara, how did he do this? Tanya, don't we have a brisa that says chacham shetime? If you have a chacham that paskin, that decided on something that is impure, that it's aser. Ein chaver rasha l'tahir. Then his friend, meaning another Talmud Chacham, is not allowed to say an alternative psak. He can't say I hold it's tahor. Meaning once we ordain a certain thing to be impure, then another Talmud Chacham can't give an alternative psak. Asar, if a Chacham says something is prohibited, ein chaver rasha l'hatir. His friend is not allowed to say it's mutter. So you see over here that you can't argue on a previous psak of a Rav. So when Rav said that it's tamei, how did Rav Rachana say that it's fine? How did he say that it's kosher? Says the Gemara, Shani Hacha, the Rav loy asar. Rav never really loy asar meisar. He never really prohibited it. Meaning he didn't say I hold it's asar. The Talmidim, Rav Kana and Rav Asi, they saw him measuring it while including the wall, and they knew this was bad news, so they right away took it away from him and went to a different rabbi. So there was never actually an articulated psak by Rav, and therefore Rav Rachana was able to ordain it on his own. Asks the Gemara, "V'kevan de'uri b'chacham." However, since this required a hira'ah, a psak, a decision from a chacham, hechi achmani, how did he eat from it? V'aksiv, doesn't it say in the pasuk? V'oimar, Yecheskel says, we saw this before. Aha, Hashem Alekim. Whoa, Hashem Alekim, hinei nafshi lo mituma'ah. My soul was never impurified. When velo treifa lo yachalti, I never ate in a velo treifa. Mine urai from my youth. V'ad ata, until now. Velo babafid b'sar pigul. I never ate any basar pigul, any disgusting meat. Hinei nafshi lo mituma'ah. What does this mean? Yecheskel. Again, we explained that Yecheskel was complaining to Hashem. Hashem had commanded him to eat some very not appealing food, made from not appealing ingredients, and Yecheskel was complaining to Hashem. He says, "What did I do to deserve this? I did all these things, meaning I was such a tzaddik. Why should I deserve such an evil punishment?" So the Gemara understands each clause of this pasuk to be referring to a different halacha that Yecheskel did refrained, an extra stringency that Yecheskel refrained from doing. And he was sort of showing Hashem. He was saying, "Look, I was a good person, so you shouldn't force me to do something so disgusting." So, "Hine nafshi lo mituma'ah," what is that referring to? "Shelo hirharti b'yoyim," I did not have any illicit thoughts during the day. Lo v'lidei tuma b'layla, that will come lidei shechva zera, impurity at night. In velo treifa lo yachalti, I did not eat in velo treifa. What does this mean? Shelo yachalti basar kois. I didn't eat an animal that was a misukenes, that was about to die, and everyone screams, kois, shecht it. And that's sort of an animal that there's a chashash that really maybe it's already considered dead. So he didn't want to eat it. V'loi ba b'fi basar pigul, and I didn't eat any disgusting meat. What does that mean? I didn't eat from an animal that a rabbi had to decide. Meaning, if there was any question whatsoever, I did not want to get involved in a questionable animal, even though a rabbi decided that it's fine. Still, I didn't want to get involved. Mishum Rav Nasan said that, what does this mean? I never ate from an animal that the matnis kahuna, the Zerayim al-Chayayim, which are supposed to go to a kain, if they weren't given, I didn't eat from them. So, says the Gemara, either way, you see over here that Yecheskel had this custom not to eat from an animal that was at any point questionable. So how come Rabbi Barachana, who was asked to decide over a questionable animal, even though he decided that it's fine, but still, isn't it a virtue not to eat from an animal that even was questionable at any point? So says the Gemara, that's only something that's dependent on a svara, meaning something that's really we're not sure, and the chacham, something that's dependent on reasoning. There's a doubtful situation where we're not sure where to go. Should we take it l'kula? Should we take it l'chumra? And using his own logic, his own reasoning, and so in that situation, since it's dependent on sort of the subjective understanding of the rabbi, so therefore there's a value in refraining from eating from the animal because it had a question. But Rabbi Bar Chana, he wasn't coming from reasoning, from subjective reasoning and a decision that was coming through understanding. It was Agmare Samach. He was relying on the teaching that he knew, meaning to him this wasn't something that he had decided, that he had to balance different sides of the question and decide on what to do over here. This was something that he knew already. This was something that was written in his Shulchan Aruch, Kavyachal. It was something that was, to him, he had heard this from his Rebbe. It wasn't a question at all for him. So therefore he was able to eat. It says the Gemara, V'teifuklei mishum chshada. Maybe we should care because of chshad. What's chshad? We should be suspicious that maybe it looks bad. It looks bad to the outsider watching Rabbi Bar Chana allowing this piece of meat and saying that it's kosher, and then he goes ahead and buys from it. It really looks like he's, at least someone from the outside might look and see see it as if Rabbi Bar Chana is only ordaining this animal kosher because he wants to eat the meat. So it sounds like he's really faking it. He the only reason why he said it's kosher is because he wants the meat, and that looks very bad. So maybe he should still refrain from taking the meat so that no one might think that he's only doing it because he wants the meat. The Tanya, like we see this type of idea, that if someone's done as a din, if someone judges a case, or zika, whether he was mizaka, meaning he said this person is, the merit is with him, he's right, or chiev, or he obligated the person to pay or something, timei, or if he made something impure, or tiher, he made something pure, asar vehitir, or he said something's prohibited or it's mutter, v'chena edin, also witnesses sheidu kulan, that they gave testimony, witnesses that gave testimony, kulan rashayin ligach, they're all allowed to take. They're all allowed to buy it. Let's say witnesses testified on a field that belongs to Reuven, right? And then a day later they go and buy it from Reuven. So it looks bad because it looks like they wanted it, and therefore they had agendas for it to belong to Reuven, so that they would buy it from Reuven. It looks like it was a hook deal over here. So therefore, but we say it's still fine. Or let's say the judge who's judging this case, and he says this field belongs to Reuven, or this object belongs to Reuven, and then the next day he goes and buys it from him, right? So that looks a little bit suspicious, but still we say really meikar adin, it's totally fine, you can take it. Aval, however, Amru Chachamim, the Chachamim said that there's a value in not taking it, because you should distance yourself from something that might be perceived as disgusting. So anything similar to something that's kiur. So you see that there is a virtue, even though it's not the halacha, it's not an obligation, it's not a binding halacha, but still there's a value in distancing yourself from anything that might look suspicious. So over here, why didn't Rabbi Bar Chana refrain from eating this meat? It might look like he is only permitting this cow in order to be able to eat it. Says the Gemara, Hani Mili, that's only talking about midi dimazvin mishuma, something that's bought from with evaluation, meaning there's no set price. Since there's no set price, so then someone might say, because it's an arbitrary price, he's giving him a good price, and look, he got a very good price, and he only allowed it because he wants to buy it. Over here, mitak lamuchach, the weight of the meat is something that that proves to us that there's no monkey business going on over here, because it's not like he got a good deal. He bought meat, so he could have bought meat anywhere else. So he bought the 13 coins worth of meat. Okay, so what's the big deal? It's not like you got a deal. You can go buy meat anywhere else. So therefore, it doesn't look suspicious over here. If it's something that has to do with evaluation and it's subjective to the situation, then someone might say, oh, he's giving him a very good deal because, and it's only because there was a whole scheme over here. Where it says Gihode Rabba, just like Rabba Shora Tarfasa, he allowed a certain animal that was perceived as treif. And he said, no, it's not, it's fine. And then he bought basar, he bought meat from it. Amra le basar of Chisda, his wife, who was the daughter of Chisda, said, Abba, my father of Chisda, Shari Bukhra, he paskened on a Bukhar. He said that it's fine, that if a Bukhar has a Baal Mum, then there's no Kedusha and you're allowed to eat it. A Kohen's allowed to eat it, right? So he allowed a Bukhar, he decided on a Bukhar that it was considered a blemish and therefore there was no Kedusha. And still, he didn't want to buy from it, even though he himself was a kohen, so he could have eaten from this bukhar, but still he didn't want to buy from it. Why? Because he didn't want it to look suspicious. Amar Allah, so Rabba tells him back, meaning she was asking, look, you passed on something that it's fine, you passed on this animal that it's not treif, and then you ate from it. My father would never do such a thing. My father, when he passed it on a bukhar, he wouldn't eat from it. He wouldn't buy from it. Amar Allah, so Rabba tells her back, no. You don't understand. Your father, the reason why he didn't want to buy from the bukhar, from this firstborn that he decided that it was mutter. That's because it's a bukhar, and a bukhar ashuma mizdavin. A firstborn is sold. The value of the meat, the value of the animal is sold based on evaluation. It's not based on the set value. It's not based on the set market value. It's all done by evaluation of the kohen. And therefore in that situation, he did not want to, because it's all about evaluation over there, so he didn't want to take it because it looks suspicious. But over here, the weight of the animal, the way we're weighing the meat, right? And I'm taking just through the weight, ma'ika. What could be the problem? What could be the suspicion? I'm buying it at the regular market value. If you can tell me mishum umtza, if you can tell me because it's good meat, then mishum umtza ma'loisa, because it's good meat. I mean, maybe this piece of meat was a very good piece of meat. It was very fresh. It was very tasty, and he knew that it was going to be good, and therefore it's suspicious that I am permitting myself some meat over here because I want this good meat. He says that's not true, because kol yoima umtza ma'loisa, every single day I'm offered good meat to buy, and therefore there's no suspicion over here. Amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda, Ezel Talmid Chacham, who's considered Talmid Chacham? Zeh haroye treifa la'atzmai. This is someone who is able to ordain on his own animal that is treifa, meaning he's able to be objective and impartial regarding his own animal and say that it's not kosher. Amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda, who's a person who the pasuk says someone who hates presence will live. Who is this person? Also the same thing. Someone who's able to see objectively that his animal is treif and say that it's not kosher, meaning even on his own objects, right? He's able to be so objective and say, I don't want it, so because it might not be kosher. You see, so he's not someone who hoards money. He's not someone who is he's not going to be someone who's going to take from someone else. I mean, even if on his own money he doesn't want to use, for sure he's not going to take from someone else. He's not greedy. And if he was greedy, then he wouldn't be able to be impartial regarding his own animal. He wouldn't call it a treifa. But and so for sure he won't be greedy and take from someone else. So on him it says Dorash marzuchu mishmei Rav Chisda kol mi shekarev v'shoyne v'roye treifa la'atzmai. Anyone who reads, meaning who learns and then reviews. And roya treifa la'atzmai is able to see a blemish in his animal that makes it treifa. V'shimish tamid chachamim, and he hangs around tamid chachamim and he serves them, and he learns from their ways. Olav ha'kasuv oimer, on him the pasuk says, "Yigia kapecha ki toichel asherecha v'toivlach." the toil of your own palms you're going to eat. And ashrecha, how fortunate you are, and v'toivlach, and how good you're going to how much good you're going to get. Meaning, because you're a roy treifel atzmai, because you're someone who's not greedy, right? Because you're able to say on your own animal that it's not kosher. So also you're not going to take from someone else, like we said, because you're not greedy. And of course, you're going to work on your own. You're going to only take money from yourself. You're not going to take money from anyone else because you're not greedy. And therefore, the pasuk on you, the pasuk is saying, "Yigia kapecha ki toichel." You only want to eat from your own the toil of your own hands. Ashrecha v'toivlach. You want to be independent. You want to be self-sufficient, like Pinchas ben Yorah, like we saw in the first parak. You don't want to take from anyone because a chai is noises atzmai. A living person carries himself. He's fully responsible for everything, fully responsible and independent for everything that he has, and therefore he's called a yichya. So Nimatonis is yichya. Rav Zvid says Zoiche v'noichel shnei olamos. He merits and he inherits two worlds, this world and the next. Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh. Ashrecha, the word ashrecha is saying how fortunate you are in this world. V'toivlach, and the good that's coming to you is ba'olam haba. Rabbi Lazar, when they used to send them from the Beinesiya, from the house of the prince, meaning the leader of the Jews, when they used to send him something lo shakal, he wouldn't take because he didn't want to take from anyone else. You don't want to benefit from anyone else's toil. He wanted only to be fully independent. When they would invite him to come, he wouldn't go. Omar, he would send him back. You don't want me to live? Meaning, because someone who hates presents is going to live, so now you want me to come to you and eat from you and take a present from you? You don't want me to live? When they would send him things, he wouldn't take. Because but if they would invite him, he would go. Omar, he said, they are getting honored with my presence. Therefore, he didn't see it as him taking something. He saw it as him giving something because they actually were honored in his presence. I'm giving them honor, so therefore he goes. It's not a matana. It's the opposite. I'm giving them a matana. Ad kan chulin daf mem daled.